This is the ultimate showdown, ultimate destiny, and explosions, and explosions, and explosions, and explosions, and explosions. As far as the eye can see, and only one will survive. I wonder who it will be. This is the ultimate showdown. This is the ultimate showdown.
Hello, my fellow hunters, in honor of our two new overlords so soon upon us. All praise the furious and raging. May their carts be gentle. In honor of them, let's ask and answer a fun little question. Who would win in a fight between Furious Rajang and Raging Brachydios? And I know, you might think, whoa, buddy, Josh, you're a little bit biased towards Bracky, I think. And look, I am completely, he is incredible, I don't even care, you're wrong if you don't agree. I am more biased towards a fair law ecology evaluation. So let it be known that there be no quarter given today. Arr, Pirate Brachydios. So, I have divided this into 6 categories that shall completely evaluate, scrutinize, and examine the might of these beasts. And the first category is physical prowess. And this one, it's not completely a slam dunk. Because look, they are both unbelievably strong animals. Raging Brachydios is notably colossally larger than his normal non-variant self.
He's pretty big.
And because of this, he is a lot slower, a lot sluggisher, that's a word now, but it does mean that he packs, well, one hell of a wallop. In fact, if he was to be going up against most other monsters, you know, as long as you don't get to stupid tier or the, you know, colossal ones, he would be coming out on top when it comes to pure, raw physical might. But the thing is, he's up against Furious goddamn Rajang, and while this isn't a Furious Rajang, it's still very representative of just what a task it is to try and outmuscle the muscle monkey. This is the Gold Lion. It's weird actually, why is his name, his title the Gold Lion? He's literally a monkey. Either way, he is built around strength. That's the point of him. He has actual gorilla muscle structure, but turned up to 11. Incredibly explosively, electrically fast twitch muscle fibers that allow for just unbelievable feats of strength. Not so much in the way of precise application, but there is a lot to be applied. Look, it's Rajang, okay? There is very few ways to talk about him in a strength-based matchup where he's not coming out on top.
You love these muscles, don't you?
The next category then, and look, as we're going along here, it's going to become very apparent who takes what, for a lot of them, because it really is... you'll see. The next category is agility, you know, speed, that kind of thing, your acrobatic capabilities, and we are talking about huge, slow, deliberate. And look, maybe that's a little bit unfair to my main man, Raging Brachydios, because he's still, like base Brachydios, has a little bit of a spring in his step. He's still leaping across the zone. He's still doing quick little side steps. He's still swinging with some quite fierce deliberacy. The issue is he's up against Rajang, and Rajang is one of the most, if not the most, agile monsters in the entire game. Not the quickest, that belongs to Kirin, but he is the most agile. Arguably, there is something like Ketchawacha, you could say outdoes him as a literal swinging monkey, or Nerscylla climbing up every surface, but look, he is jumping in the air, spinning around, bouncing around the place, never stopping moving at any given second, jumping and just diving and slamming and seemingly carrying endless reserves of energy. You've all fought Rajang, you know that he has one speed and it is and at no point does that ever turn down. So it's really hard to say that in any kind of, well, speed or agility matchup, Rajang doesn't have the edge over something like Raging Brachydios, which is very specifically slower and more sluggish than base Brachydios, who is already still a little bit slower and more sluggish than our incredibly light, fast flipping monkey. So while I have done a dedicated video to both these creatures going over their lore and ecology in absolute great detail, and I realize I'm kind of yada-yadaing a few things here because we have a lot of categories to get through, I don't think you need much convincing from me that Furious Rajang is more agile than Raging Brachydios. So 2 points to him.
It's not looking good, Bracky boy! Ha ha ha! Rajang! I like saying my name.
However then, the next category is firepower, and this one is very interesting. Lightning versus explosions. Who will come out on top? So, look. One of them does not have an elemental or status advantage. So Brachydios, Raging Brachydios, have explosions.
Inconceivable.
And where I'm going with that is that they have those explosions all over themselves, right? They're covered in their own explosive slime, right? They have that sweet, sweet, passionate, just dedicated, symbiotic relationship. And because of that, Brachydios has to have one key thing going for him. He has to be able to shrug off his own explosions, or the second he did, he would kill himself, which isn't the most effective survival strategy, I tend to find. So his obsidian shell, which coats nearly all of him, he has a little bit of a softer belly, but still very, very rigid, thick skin, because it has to be. He is a walking shock absorber, a very, very hard to penetrate shock absorber. And because of that, he is very good at taking hits, and that's base Brachydios. Raging Brachydios, even larger, thicker shell, but more than that, colossally more potent explosions. To put it in, again, further perspective, in order for a Raging Brachydios to be, they have to take on and acclimate to super slime found in the hearts of volcanoes. And this slime is so much more potent that it, well, actually kills 9 out of 10 Brachydios that attempt to use it, which means Brachydios, a creature designed from the base up to be capable of absorbing the fiery impact of bigger booms, can't handle that bigger boom. So Raging then can. Coupled with being larger, his shell even thicker, his explosions colossal, and he just plows through them like they barely tickle him, because they do. You can see just how good he is at tanking damage. Blunt force just gets absorbed. Anything sharp is turned away from his almost rock-like obsidian shell. He really is one of the most durable monsters ever. So the point is, if he has to be that durable to survive his own firepower, think about how that firepower is going to affect something like Rajang, which is literally just skin with fur on. He is a glass cannon. That's one of the points of him. That's one of the designs. That's how he is. He would get absolutely decimated by a bit of slime, point blank on him, boom boom pop pop. He would just be blown in half. Now you may think, well, what about his big old Kirin killer laser beam? Well, the thing is, it got blocked by a human holding a rock. As impressive as the Admiral is for a human, but still. And yes, that is normal Rajang, but as Furious Rajang is just permanently enraged Rajang. Yes, he can go a little bit further when he's extra mad, but on a base level, he's an enraged Rajang. So, it's not exactly going to be blowing holes in Raging Brachydios when Raging Brachydios' shell is undeniably more durable than a rock. So what I'm trying to say here is, this guy has the power to one-shot Uragan, not raging. He has the power to one-shot Agnactor, not raging. He is going to absolutely decimate Rajang if he can get a few good, solid hits in, or if Rajang is a little bit too careless and rolls in a slime puddle. So, it's very easy for me to award the firepower to, well, the one with the most firepower.
Oh, yes! Rajang! Come eat my fish, that came out wrong.
The next category, then, is durability, and, well, I kind of had to cover that in order to talk about firepower. Everything I just said, well, just immediately applies here. Raging Brachydios has a shell of, well, undeniable strength. Furious Rajang has a skin of skin strength. And look, of course, I am underselling it there. He can, of course, go his Kaioken, lock up his muscles, harden it real good, purple sharpness is turned away, but that doesn't really help against explosive impact. Also, it might be rugged, it might be tough, it's fairly thick, but it's not the same as Shell. He is a mammal, and there's only so much you can do on that front compared to having actual scalage, shellage, a almost carapace like Brachydios' obsidian. If you just had to stand a Brachydios, or even a normal Brachydios would outdurability a Furious Rajang, honestly, but if you just had to stand a Raging and a Furious next to each other and just kept hitting them with things until one of them fell over, if you ignore, well, mechanical, gamey health pulls that they have, it really is hard to say any other way than Furious Rajang would collapse long before Raging Brachydios. Raging Brachydios is also, you know, immortal, and while that only protects him from old age and most diseases, still, that's a nice thing to be able to claim, having an immortal reactor beating inside him. So, yeah, pretty much just explained all of that, so it's easy to immediately award the durability category to good old Raging Brachydios, taking us to 2-2.
Oh, what's that? Is the monkey got a boo-boo? I like explosions.
Next up then, we got skills! And the skills indeed are interesting to look at, because Brachydios is one of the better fighting monsters. As a species, they enjoy combat. They are the boxing brute wyvern. They know how to sway and how to move and how to operate in a fight. They kind of very much enjoy it. That's why they have these sudden moves and side hops and ducks and weaves and the way they punch. They're not just pure, I'm a big creature gonna throw myself at you, like a lot of monsters tend to be. Unfortunately, though, they're going against Rajang, who is the much more intelligent animal. He's got that primate bonus, and he is much more dexterous and creative in how he approaches things. From his aerial assault, the rain of lightning bombs that new Furious can do, the way he grapples the hunters, holds them still, and blasts in their face now. He seems to be the much more skilled combatant when it comes to being, you know, good at making something that is alive less alive. Now, they're both very, very good at that because they're both predatory animals. That's kind of what they do. Except both of them do have a penchant of fighting for fun, just Rajang more so. And the main reason I want to give this to Rajang is because it hunts Kirin. And hunting a Kirin requires a lot more nuance than you give it credit for, because Kirin are very clever and very fast. They are elder dragons, they are exceptionally smart cookies, and a Rajang has to outmaneuver, out-strategize, out-turn him, and catch a Kirin by surprise. And while he makes it look like that's very easy in the little cutscene that we got, Kirin can move hundreds of meters in the blink of an eye, so you really have to work hard and be creative when it comes to catching them. And Rajang are built to do this as part of their normal diet. That's how they get their Super Saiyan energy, which means instinctively Rajang are incredibly good at taking down elusive, tricksy animals, and that gives them a little bit of a cunning edge when it comes to other fights, an edge that most other creatures do not have. So in terms of coming up with an effective strategy to take something down, well, there's no doubt in my mind that Rajang, for example, would be identifying the softer underbelly of the Raging Brachydios, which might very well be punctured by a point-blank laser beam. So that's something he would notice, it's something he would evaluate, he actually thinks in a fight, whereas Raging Brachydios, while he knows what he's doing, it is largely just instinctual. He doesn't really change approach, whereas Rajang can be creative and learn on the fly. So, point to Rajang.
See, so many people don't realize, but my brain's as big as my bicep.
Then finally, our finally category, the little bit of all that, the X Factor, the something special, you know, the unquantifiable. And this, to me, comes down to one very, very key point, and it's one that was addressed earlier in this fun little hypothetical discussion. And again, I realize I've been quite light on details. It's hard to fully go over them all when it took me like 25 minutes to do them individually, separately, and even that felt like I wasn't covering them off. But either way, for me, it just simply has to be Raging Brachydios' reactive slime defense. I think that is the deciding factor in this fight. Because even a normal Brachydios killed an Agnactor because the Agnactor had the audacity to touch him. And that's, well, something Rajang is very much going to have to do, because the various lightning blasts 9 out of 10 times are just going to be shrugged off endlessly. Raging Brachydios then is covered in even more slime, it's even more potent, and it's even more reactive to enemy attacks. If you attack him, you activate the slime and it goes boom! For him, he doesn't even need to think about it. You just die because you went near him and the slime looked at you funny. So, for me, Rajang might try to grapple, he might try to punch, he might try to do the bouncy ball, but every single time he touches that Raging Brachydios, and by the way, a Furious Rajang could crack the shell of a Raging Brachydios. If he was just there, punch, 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 he could get through it like cracking a nut. No doubt in my mind, he has more than enough strength to do that. 4-5 solid punches, and that Raging Brachydios is going to be feeling the alarm, definitely. But the thing is, one punch, and that fist is coming away coated in slime. And while the Rajang might be like, oh god, get it off, and try and bat it with his other hand, probably not, because he's very bloodlusty, he's very just fight now, think later. When he's in the midst of things, a battle trance, he might be smart in taking something down, but not really in self-preservation. It's going to blow up on his fist, and, well, if his fist is in Kaioken mode, it might do something, I don't know, as minimal as taking off some fingers, maybe his hand, but if he's in the normal soft state, his arm is going, and really then he is going, and that's at a minimum there. An Agnactor's shell is much stronger and durable than Furious Rajang, well, skin, and that got one shot by base Brachydios weaker explosion. So the point I'm making here, that I feel like I'm very much, well, beating around the bush on, is that I don't see a conceivable way for Rajang to avoid covering himself in slime for long enough to hurt the Raging Brachydios, because inherently to hurt him, he has to touch him, and if he touches him, he, well, blows up and dies. And that's why Brachydios is such a deadly creature, because that is broken and overpowered, but that is how it is. You have to be able to survive Brachydios level explosions to combat a Brachydios, which is why he is such a truly thunderous apex predator. So when it comes to Raging's explosion strengths, yeah, that is not going to do well for old Furious, and that really for me is the specialty here, because there's nothing really Raging can do, at least unless there's something secret in his arsenal that we've not seen. Typically, I bet the gameplay that's being released tomorrow is going to answer that question, but you know, that's where I'm going with this. So, point for Raging Brachydios.
You touch me, you die. Oh, it's good to be the king. Wait, what do you mean it's a draw?
And yeah, draw it is. While I think technically, because of what I just said, Furious went up losing, when we look at them as through these categories, they got 3 points each, and I am happy to call it a draw. I don't think 10 out of 10 times Raging would win, maybe 7, 8, but they are very powerful creatures in their own right, very evenly matched, at least surprisingly so, now that I've come to this conclusion, and basically, we should all be very afraid. Let me know what you guys think. Like if you enjoyed this, I can take 2 of the monsters and have a little bit of a fun comparison too in the future, if you think that'd be fun. Let me know who you'd like to step up, but yes, like if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you, even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on, and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.